What's up, besties? How have you been? Today is going to be the air signs reading. Air signs being Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. So, because today is the air sign reading, I'm going to use incense to fumigate. Make a wish, make a wish, make a wish. Or rather, go ahead and set your intention for the reading. I did also want to mention at the top of the video that I will answer questions if you have them, if you contribute using the super chat. But of course, that is not necessary. And it will occur between the regularly scheduled readings. Alright, so the deck that I'm using today is my plastic tarot cards. I like them a lot, and they're fun to work with. And then over on the member side of the channel, I will be using this big chunk of mica that I found while fossil hunting over in Simi Valley. So we're going to start with the air sign of Gemini. Happy birthday to all my Gemini sun signs. So it is June 1st. We're going to have... Oh, hi Ultra. Hi Cindy. Thank you for coming, you guys. It's good to see you today. We are going to have Mercury is going to go direct, and then the very next day, Saturn is going retrograde. Saturn is currently in the sign of Aquarius, but will be moving into Pisces at some point soon. So, Gemini, go ahead and set your intention, if you would. And just allow anything you'd like to know about to rise up to the forefront of your thoughts. Oh, that means you're undergoing your Saturn return. I bet you just got your life together, didn't you? Saturn's been in Aquarius, I think, for a little while now. Like maybe 2019-ish. Saturn was in Capricorn, and now it's been in Aquarius for a little while. That sounds about right. So, Gemini, if any of the things that are coming up for you at this time are causing you stress or anxiety or discomfort, I invite you to gently breathe through that energy. Inhale. Draw in the divine white light of Source, and then exhale and just release all of that. It will return to Source and it will be transmuted. Gemini, we have some very interesting things coming up for you. Looks like fun and excitement, but not just fun and excitement. A couple of pentacles, some major arcana, some wands, some swords. So let's get into it. Let me mark down your timestamp. Excuse me. Okay. So Gemini, we're going to start out in the past. And the card that we have showing up for your past is the Queen of Swords in the upright. So this is good air sign energy showing up in your reading, Gemini. We do have metamorphosis implied here with the butterflies. The Queen of Swords is somebody who promotes the truth, defends the truth, and speaks the truth. So this could have been you at some point in the past. And you are continuing to do this into the current situation, which we need to talk about because the cards that we have there. First of all, we have the Judgment card showing up in the place of the significator. The significator represents you in the reading and is the central feature of the reading. So the Judgment card is Pluto energy. The Judgment card, however, is elemental fire energy as well. So we can infer a bit scorpionic energy, but honestly, because of that elemental fire, we're really looking more at the transient, the unknown, and that spark towards that, more so than going strictly with like the correspondences. And the Judgment card is about some kind of test. It can be about also going through something in your life where you are probably going to be transformed by it, but there's an evaluation attached. So it could be getting certified in something, passing the bar exam. It can be getting your doctorate. But it can also be a situation where you are being judged by others as well. So not necessarily one or the other. It is a major arcana and it's very open-ended. We do have crossing this, Gemini, the Eight of Cups. So that is the conditions in which this judgment is occurring. And the Eight of Cups, you can see this figure is walking away from something that is almost complete. So you're walking away from something, and it's possible that this thing in your life is actually quite good. But putting all of this together, you are having to promote the truth. And perhaps if the truth, you were fighting really hard for it and the truth was still not prevailing, that you had to make a judgment call about walking away from a situation. So down here in the MMCLI, that is going to be the foundations upon which the goal or destiny, which we'll be looking at up in the midheaven, the foundations upon which that will be built. And the card that we have down in the MMCLI is the Knight of Wands. And the Knight of Wands is fire of fire energy. So there's a lot of activity going on right now. You could be acting upon a lot of things right now, Gemini, or you could just be very busy because of everything that's going on around you right now. So that's what this Knight of Wands is talking about. And this very busy period will lead to some things in the midheaven, in the goal or destiny. So we'll look at that in a moment. From your perspective, we have Cindy, it's my pleasure. Thank you so much for coming to the live stream. So this is your perspective on the situation, and we have a progression out of that Queen of Swords energy into the King of Swords energy. Now this is elemental air. So represented here, we have two court cards that are strongly impacted by their active elemental energies. So we have the Knight of Wands, which is fire of fire. And then from your perspective, we also have King of Swords, which is air of air, so elemental air energy, and also very associated, of course, with your sign of Gemini. The King of Swords is somebody who has a finely honed discernment. So it could be that you have the need for that at this time. You perceive the need for that at this time. It could also be that the King of Swords represents somebody in your life. They could even be a Libra, but could be a fellow air sign. Could just be somebody who is very good at formulating solutions. Somebody who has a lot of education, somebody who is very well equipped to help you out in these situations. Now, the Knight of Wands can, of course, be somebody showing up in this energy, but because of its position, I feel like it's more likely that this is about the environment overall, and not as much about a particular person. So from an outside person's perspective on this situation, Gemini, we have the Four of Wands. Now the Four of Wands is a card about foundations of success. People see about you at this time, Gemini, that you are building the foundations of success. This can be cause for celebration. The Four of Wands can also indicate marriage, purchasing a home, and can be a bit about wish fulfillment. Some people call this the 1111 card because of these two uprights looking like the 11s. So people see that you have reason to celebrate and that you are on your way to a strong future. And that is often what activity looks like from the outside, so that's good. Whatever this was that you had to walk away from, it could have been a job, it could have been a relationship, it could have been just a situation that wasn't right for you. And I feel like because you did that, a lot of things have opened up for you. Because here in the future, Gemini, we have the Knight of Pentacles. And this card is showing up in the upright. So in the future, this Knight of Pentacles represents money rushing into you. Oh, excuse me. Oh. Mm. It could be because of all this activity. The nights are fire energy. So this is fire of earth, and represents how our passions open the door for material manifestation. That Knight of Pentacles can sometimes represent an earth sign person coming in, but typically the traits that I read of the pages and the knights are less about about them as personalities and more about some of the other traits that they hold, unless in the context of the reading it looks like there's a child there or something like that. So here in your hopes and fears, Gemini, we have Aquarius's card from the major arcana, which is the star. And I do see that you are hoping for your hopes and dreams to come true. The star card also has to do with our social groups, because of course our social cachet leads to fame, leads to fortune, and can be represented thereby with the star card as well. And you can see that she's pouring the one jug out onto the ground and the other jug back seemingly into the water source from whence it came. And that is kind of how we pour our emotions into our social surroundings to cultivate relationships and to become mutually invested in other people's lives. So I feel like there are some aspects of that possibly too that you're hoping for. Here in the midheaven, this is going to be the result of all of this activity that's going on in your current situation, Gemini. There's going to be getting over some kind of disappointment. So if you were disappointed that you had to walk away from the situation in the current, Gemini, I feel like because of everything that is coming in for you, that disappointment is going to be fleeting for you. And you can kind of do a little bit of math here as well. So if you have that 8 of Cups and you subtract the 5 of Cups, you end up with 3 of Cups, which is a card having to do with our close-knit friendships, which I can see from the star card that you are indeed hoping to cultivate good social groups around yourself. The final card for your reading, Gemini, final outcome, we have the Page of Pentacles. So the Page of Pentacles can represent a job offer. The Page of Pentacles could be an earth sign child. Here again, what we have is a court card that represents pure elemental energy. So we had the King of Swords come out. We had the Knight of Wands come out. And now we have this Page of Pentacles coming out, which is Earth of Earth energy. The pages are Earth energy. This manifestation is not ready just yet. It's not ready just yet. To me, this seems like it has something to do with divine timing. Again, we have this Knight of Pentacles here in the future. So we do see that there's going to be a manifestation coming in. You do have reason to celebrate. And the Page of Pentacles can sometimes be a job offer. So You might be holding out for a job offer. And if that's the case, that is not going to be necessary for this. Whatever this is going to be independent, I feel like, of necessarily a job offer. So maybe it's an investment. Maybe something ends up coming along that takes you on a completely different path than what you had thought previously. Now, that's not saying not to apply for jobs. I think that it's good to hedge your bets, especially because what I'm doing is mostly for entertainment purposes only, right? Mostly only. But as far as the bringing of the resources down into the concrete plane, I feel like that is not necessarily something that you are going to have control over manifesting. That you're kind of, occupying some very favorable spaces, and you will have this money coming in. But as far as the fame and fortune is concerned, I would focus more on your emotions, where we have these cups coming in. And I would also focus more on holding on to your truth, because I feel like the emotional states and holding on to your truth are very linked at this time, Gemini. So that is going to conclude the Gemini reading for this week. Thank you to everyone joining me for the live stream today. We are now going to move on to the sign of Libra. Now, I will be going, after this reading, over to the members side of the channel to do some crystal scrying with this beautiful chunk of mica that I found while fossil hunting in Simi Valley. If that is of interest to you, you are cordially invited. But your presence here on the channel is greatly appreciated in whatever form it takes. Additionally, I will be fielding personal questions. If you make super chat donations, and that will occur between readings. So, Libra, go ahead and set your intention and allow any questions that you have just to rise up gently to the forefront of your thoughts and wait there while we address them in the reading. Now, if these are things that are stressful for you, or if you are feeling anxiety or discomfort at this time, I invite you to gently breathe through those energies. So as you inhale, draw in the divine white light of Source, and then as you exhale, just release all of that energy, that tension, that stress back to Source, and it will be transmuted. Let me write down your timestamp. So we are on the sign of Libra. And I fancy a hard candy. I hope that won't bother anybody. These are actually ginger flavored, sugar-free xylitol candy. It's supposed to be good for your teeth. But this is not a sponsored video or anything. If you're interested, they are made by a company called Dr. John's. Okay, Gemini, let's get started. Libra. We're on Libra now. Sorry about that. I'm a little bit sleepy this week because I started my new job. So, Libra, in the past, we do have the Six of Pentacles, and it's in the upright. This is about the flow of resources in and out of your life. As you can see, we have one figure here, and they are bestowing charity upon these figures down here. Now, this person has more money coming into their life than is going out. So I feel like that was probably the case for you, Libra, in the recent past, and continues into the present, or has been the case for you in the past and continues into the current situation. And what we have going on here, this is the place of the significator. It represents you in the context of the reading. And kind of sits at the center, the focal point of the reading. So what we have here is the Five of Wands. And this card is about combat in a way, but it's more about the competition of it, and rivalry, and the way that you can collect ideas or techniques from those around you. You can see what other people are doing and incorporate it into your own practice, into your own way of doing things. So there are positive things involved in the Five of Wands, as well as some negative things. But this card being in the upright in the current situation, there is a lot of kind of more like a frantic energy to this, because we do have a lot of activity here. Could be a lot of people scrambling to snatch up resources, depending on what those resources are. And of course, you would be in a very good position, Libra, to be taking part in this. Now, crossing the Five of Wands, we have the Two of Cups. And this is emotional partnership. So it can be a love relationship that is going on. There could be rivalry for a romantic partnership with someone in particular, but that doesn't necessarily have to be the case. It could also be a situation where a lot of people are competing for roles, spots, gigs, etc. And you have this really strong partnership coming through with this particular person that is going to make both of you stronger overall. So the Five of Wands, of course, could be associated with fifth house energy. And we do have the ruler of the fifth house, Leo, depicted on the Two of Cups. And of course, fifth house rules our passions. So, could have something to do with pursuing something that you're passionate about. A lot of our passions end up being in things that are very competitive. So it could be something like music or art, or even street racing, which I do not endorse, by the way. No offense. But let's see what else is going on. So Libra, down here in the Imum this is going to be the foundations upon which the goal or destiny that we'll be looking at with the midheaven. That's going to be built upon this foundation. Now, it's very interesting because we have the Ace of Wands in the reverse here. And the Ace of Wands in the reverse could be about burnout. This is fire elemental energy. So it could be like you've lost your spark, you're feeling burnt out. But you still feel obligated to go through the motions of, whatever this competition is. Maybe it's something that you've become reliant on income from that, or something like that. The Ace of Wands in the reverse can also be about surrendering your power in a situation. So maybe it's not even about feeling burnt out. Maybe you're just kind of letting go of your own control over things. And of course, because the Ace of Wands is of the two active elements, the one more closely associated with masculinity, the Ace of Wands in the reverse can sometimes be about impotence, but that's your business. So now we're going to talk about your perspective on the situation, Libra. We have the High Priestess, and she is in the reverse. Now, the High Priestess associated with moon energy. She is a solitary figure. She doesn't necessarily have a spouse in the tarot. Whereas like the Emperor and the Empress, even though they are both depicted as being alone on their cards, they kind of belong together, if you catch my meaning. The Empress, or I beg your pardon, the High Priestess is more solitary, has a lot in common with the Magician, with the Hermit, and with the Hierophant. But many times, when somebody is pursuing this relationship with their higher power and with Source, there's less of an emphasis on the relationships with the people around you. Now, the High Priestess in the reverse can be about false visions. Can be about not being able to trust visions that you're receiving. Can be feeling like you don't have the information available to you that you would like to have access to, that would make your, oh man, if I just knew what was going to be happening this, or if I just knew the length of that, or, that there might be a lot of unknown factors in the current situation. That are making you feel like you don't have the answers you need. Now, Libra, from an outside perspective, looking in on the current situation, we have the Seven of Cups. Somebody might perceive that you don't have a lot of options open to you. The Seven of Cups, of course, is about having a myriad of options, right? Some of them real, some of them imagined, some of them flights of fancy. But a few of them are real and a few of them are very good. And it's going to take your discernment to figure out which ones. But where this card is showing up in the reverse from an outside person's perspective, this situation, there's really more castles in the air than there are legitimate options from another person's perspective. Other people might be looking at your current situation as something with limited options. So now let's look at the future. Showing up in the future, we have the Five of Swords in the upright. So it's very interesting that we went from this Five of Wands energy to this Five of Swords energy. The Five of Wands, of course, being actually kind of a collaborative, active energy, whereas the Five of Swords is a very divisive energy. We have somebody who has clearly won here, and these guys have taken their equipment and are going home. And in this case, haven't even really taken their equipment. They've just left everything there. That's abandonment, emotional abandonment of a situation following this contentious resolution where one person is declared the victor. And of course, coming out of this energy where everything's very collaboratively minded, or coming out of the energy of having a lot of romantic suitors and desiring a one-on-one relationship with somebody. If that is the case for you, this Five of Swords indicates that that relationship will come together for you, but there might be issues because of how contentious it got. That there might be jealousy there because there was so much competition to get into that relationship situation. But it is in the upright in the future. So if we're talking about, this would also be rising above all of your competitors in this situation, and possibly with the help of this other person. But I would be very careful about that partnership, because this person on the Five of Swords, as I mentioned, this is a card of divisiveness. Make sure that you're giving your collaborators due credit if that's the case, because otherwise everyone will end up kind of giving you a lot of space. I'll say it like that. So Libra, here in your hopes and fears, we do have an air sign court card, which is the Knight of Swords. This is fire of air energy, so very active. And has to do with binary choices and binary discernment. And standing up for what you believe to be right. So you just hope that you are going to be the victor in this situation. And I do see that happening for you. But as I said, be very careful about how contentious these things get, because when you're dealing with this kind of competition and rivalry, there's a lot to be gleaned from the people around you. They're not necessarily your enemies. But by the time it gets to this point, nobody really has a lot of affection for each other. And you kind of cut yourself off at the knees because you can no longer have that collaborative effort. Now, up here in the midheaven position, this is going to be the result of either giving up your power in a situation, potentially impotence, or feeling burnout. The result of that is going to be the Seven of Swords in the reverse. So it could be that some kind of treachery is uncovered. And there's a lot of potential for that here, in rivalry. People are trying to undercut each other, especially if it is a romantic rivalry. I don't get the sense from this Two of Cups that that other person specifically means you ill. But you are coming from this very solitary energy having to do with the High Priestess, right? So there's not like any cards here specifically to tell me that you are at this time untrusting of people. But, and I do see your question, Ultra, and I hope that what I'm about to say will answer it for you. So this Seven of Swords is not even necessarily a bad card. I don't really believe in like that good card, bad card kind of thing in the tarot, because you can get answers that you want, or you could get answers that you might need to hear, but that wouldn't necessarily be like what you were expecting to hear. Just because somebody has it out for you, too, doesn't mean they're going to be successful in that. And it's, of course, better to know about those things than to not know about them. But where there might be treachery uncovered, this card showing up in the midheaven might also indicate that no one is really out to get you in this situation the way that you might perceive. And that you might be operating from a place of burnout, that you have been involved in this situation for long enough that that you've kind of lost sight of the benefits of it and are seeing it more like this. But remember where you've come from in the past, which is the Six of Pentacles, right? Where you're very generous to others because you have more resources coming into you than are going out. And that is going to continue for you, Libra, especially if you don't cut yourself off at the knees regarding your relationships with other people. And here in the final outcome, this can also be advice, right? And we have an interesting card coming out for you there, Libra. This is a fellow cardinal sign of Aries. This is their card in the major arcana. Perhaps you also have Aries in your chart somewhere. Mars is in Aries right now. And we have the Emperor in the reverse, which is about despotism and feeling the need to control things. That isn't necessarily it's a very unbalanced stance to take. This is going to be in opposition to other people's viewpoint on the current situation for you, which is this Seven of Swords in the reverse, where people might perceive that either like a lot of the options that you feel like you have don't actually exist, or that you just don't have a lot of options at this time. So I feel like what the final outcome card is warning you against is trying to hold on to these things too tightly. Now, this is not the Four of Pentacles, right? The Four of Pentacles is also a card, when in the reverse, about holding on to things too tightly. But with the Emperor, this is somebody who's in a position of authority, and that is definitely something that I'm getting for you in this reading, Libra, is that you're somebody who is in a position of authority. Here in the past, of course, that's Six of Pentacles, this person providing for others, and this Five of Swords, that person has put themselves into a position of authority over everyone else. So I don't think that's necessary for you in this situation, Libra. And I think that it's going to end up isolating you from others in a way that is not going to be beneficial to you in the long term. And again, I really need to reemphasize that I just don't think that people are out to get you the way that you think they are. And furthermore, like there just might not be any more information out there to be had. Everything might already be out on the table, which means there are no secrets. These two cards showing up together in the reverse, all the secrets are out on the table. So that is going to conclude the Libra reading for this week. We are going to go now into the Aquarius reading. Aquarius. I am fielding personal questions via super chat between the readings. So if you put up a super chat, I sometimes have a hard time reading the entire text box. But I will address those readings between the signs. I am also going after this to the member side of the channel to do some crystal scrying. And this is the crystal I will be using for that. So if you're interested in the extended, you are cordially invited. But your presence here on the channel is greatly appreciated, in whatever form it takes. So Aquarius. If you would like, go ahead and set your intention for the reading and just kind of allow any thoughts around that situation to rise up to the forefront of your mind and wait there patiently. And I will shuffle the cards. Now, if these are things that you find stressful, or if it's causing you anxiety or discomfort, I invite you to gently breathe through those feelings. As you inhale, draw in the divine white light of Source. And then as you exhale, just release all of that stress, all of that tension, anything that you've been holding on to. It's giving you a stiff neck, and it will be returned to Source, and it will be transmuted. All right. So, Aquarius, let's see what is going on for you in the week ahead. Mm-hmm. There's a lot to unpack here, Aquarius. What is going on with you? Okay. So let's parse it out. Start here in the past with the Page of Wands in the reverse. Now, the Page of Wands can be a very young fire sign or fire energy person, somebody who's very enthusiastic, somebody who has a lot of passion and drive to bring to the table, a youthful enthusiasm. And this card is in the reverse in the past. So what this tells me is that you, Aquarius, might have previously gone into situations with a great deal of naive enthusiasm, but that you no longer operate from that space, that you have progressed to the point where you're no longer rushing into things very passionately, and potentially dissipating your energy before you're able to use it to manifest that which you desire. So here in the place of the significator, the current situation, if you will, we have the World card. So there's a completion. This is fixed sign energy. Here you are, Aquarius, right in the corner of the card. This is also associated with Saturn and the element of Earth, and has to do with completion, concretion, establishment, the ending of one cycle that another might begin. Very cyclical so the World card is very similar to the Wheel of Fortune card, not just in structure and form, but also in meaning, because both of those are talking about the revolution of cycles as we look at the establishment and dissolution of things. Solve et coagula, right? And here we are at coagula. So, in the current situation, a lot of different things could be coming together and converging for you and solidifying. And we do have this King of Cups showing up. Now, this is the card crossing the significator, which means that the King of Cups could be a benefactor. This could be somebody coming into your life and providing for you. Somebody who is nurturing, doesn't necessarily need to be a water sign, but could be. The King of Cups is air of water energy. And so could also just be representing for you in the current situation, Aquarius, that you have gotten everything together to the point where you are able to actively nurture others as well. So that is also possible. Down here in the Imam Silai, that's going to be the foundation and the origins of everything that occurs in your goal or destiny, which we're going to look at when we look at the midheaven in just a little bit. But down in the MMC we have the Empress card in the reverse. Now, the Empress is somebody who is waited upon hand and foot. She can also represent the Divine Mother. This could also represent something to do with pregnancy, like deciding not to have kids, or anything having to do with deciding not to have kids. I'll just leave it at that, rather than get too controversial unnecessarily. But the Empress card also represents these long-term projects where the project is begun and it takes time to progress and grow, and then finally comes to fruition, much like we see that she's sitting in the middle of this wheat field. It takes time to grow those crops. We have Venus here, that's finances as well as partnerships. But where this is showing up in the reverse, you could have been too passive in a situation. That's potential. There could have also been a situation where you started something and you started nurturing it, and you let your houseplant die. That whatever effort you put in was not sufficient to really get the endeavor off of the ground, Aquarius. Now, obviously, because we have the World card there, we've got the King of Cups there, something has come together for you in a very beneficial way. So it's possible that this can also be like living financially independently as a woman, if that means something to you. That because we have this King of Cups here, and I'll talk about that more in a minute. The Empress, although technically married to the Emperor in the tarot, holds her own power and her own independence, and does not necessarily need the Emperor to have power. But I do see that, in the current situation, potentially you have had a benefactor come in to help you out, to help you resolve things. From your perspective, we have this Four of Pentacles, that you are holding very tightly to your resources and saving. So potentially you are putting money away in savings for the future. From an outside perspective looking in, we have the Six of Cups. And this is things returning from the past. So this could be like former or friends that have moved away and they're coming for a visit. It can be people that you haven't talked to in a long time showing up on your social media to say, hey, what's up? It can also be nostalgia about things from your childhood. But because this is from the outside perspective looking in, what it looks like for me is there's a couple of possibilities here. This is either people getting in touch with you that you haven't spoken to in a long time, or it can also be trends from your youth about which you are nostalgic coming back around again, just like the MCR reunion that I will never shut up about ever again. So let's look at the future, Aquarius. I do see some very exciting things coming in for you. Here in the future, we have the Eight of Pentacles. Now, this is established streams of income. So, this could be a retirement account. Typically, it is associated with a long term career being fulfilled, but can also apply, of course. I try to apply these things to as many situations as possible. And some people are retired, some people are too young to work, some people, there's a lot of different possibilities out there. Some people don't have a 9 to 5, but you can have multiple streams of income that support you fully. And I think that is going to be coming in for you in the future. Now, before I show you the card for your hopes and fears, Aquarius, I do want to say that it's in opposition to this very guarded energy with the Four of Pentacles, that you're trying to hold on to your autonomy possibly as well, and not just your finances. And the card that we have in the hopes and fears is Three of Swords. You might be afraid that people don't want to be your friend anymore. You might be afraid that there's going to be conflict. I don't see any of that anywhere else in the reading. So, why it's coming up here specifically, I'm not sure. But Aquarius, I need for you to blow this out of your mind, that people are going to want to fight with you or start conflict with you. You could even be harboring secret wounds or trauma that are based in maybe you're feeling like that you weren't able to pull things together on your own and you needed to get help from somebody else. And there might be secret resentments around that. But I wouldn't worry about that, because where we have this Empress in the reverse in the Emum up in the midheaven, we have the Nine of Pentacles upright. That financial independence is eventually coming for you, Aquarius. That is to be your destiny. So it's not that you killed the house plants. You just left for a couple days, and when you came back, they were kind of wilted. But that just means you need to water them. And they will continue to grow, and eventually you will end up with this and with this. And that shows a very clear linear progression from the future to the destiny. Now, the final outcome here is a very interesting card, Aquarius, for you to get in this reading. Because from the outside, people might be, getting in touch with you that you haven't talked to in a long time. And the card in the final outcome is the Page of Cups in the reverse. So this is the energy of an offer being made, but because the card is in the reverse, I feel like you should not wait for someone else to make you an offer. That maybe you are in a position where you can offer things to other people. But you're going to have to get out of this energy where you're holding on too tightly to your solidarity, or your solitude, I guess, not solidarity. And that you have this perception that others want to attack or wound you emotionally. So that is going to be your reading for this week, Aquarius, 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 Aquarius. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you to everyone for stopping by for the live stream today. I will be going now over to the members side of the channel readings open. They're available on my website. And I hope that you have an excellent day, week, month, or even year. And I look forward to seeing you again.